So we're here at Vegas Super Karts again for the third round of running. I'm hoping to finish pretty well on this race and make up for some lost positions last one. Without further ado, let's get in the kart.
Alright, before we get racing, I just wanted to show off some of these pictures I took of I think it's a replica, but it's a F122 car. My goodness, this thing is beautiful. And it's, of course, my favorite team, Alfa Romeo. Very, very cool. And we start off qualifying with some experimentation. A really terrible braking marker by me leads to a very slow turn one. I'm going to have to abort the lap, but I got lap traffic in front of me, so if I can push and catch up, pass them on this lap, I don't have to deal with them on an actual hot lap. This whole weekend's going to have a lot of experimenting. I'm trying to learn to drive these karts faster, and I'm probably going to make some mistakes in doing so. Coming across onto the start-finish straight. Driver is still right in front of me, so we got to hope that he's up to pace. The kart I am driving had not been run last session, so it's just a little bit cold compared to the other ones. Braking right at that second braking marker, significantly faster out of the corner than this guy. He's going to wave me past, and we're not going to lose any time. That is very, very good. Just a little bit slow through some of these corners. I'm starting to learn where I can push the kart and where I'm doing it right. No bouncing, you see. Keeping the kart nice and planted. Doing a much better job of that than I used to. This was one of my better laps on this one. Braking right before that second braking marker around the fast right-hander, keeping it nice and close to the wall, just between the two final braking markers for the second corner. Down into 3, this is a flat-out left-hander. It's all about making it as wide as possible, losing as little speed as possible. Deep on the brakes here. I could have gone a little bit wider, but it's all right. Around the right-hander of 5 and down into 6, you want to extend as much on the left side as you can and cut in as tight as you can. It's all about a good exit here as you come onto the pit straight. This whole section is flat out all the way to the line, and it's going to end up being just over a 40-second lap time. Not enough, but enough to make Group A. Bringing it in at the end of the session here. I was just a little bit slower than I wanted to be, just a little bit slower than I have been this week. That's going to cost me a few positions, but we can recover. So after qualifying is said and done with, I qualified P7 in the Group A split. That's pretty good. I could have done better though. It was not the greatest of laps. Getting the tires nice and warm here for the first race. It's gonna be a hard push up the field. I definitely have some extra pace to the guys ahead, and I just gotta use it. You may or may not have seen it already, but they actually added brake markers to the track, which I am very grateful for. Those are going to help a lot through turns 1 and turns 2, which are some of the trickier corners on the circuit. The middle sector I've never had a problem with, so I'm not all that upset that there isn't brake markers there. Anyway, coming across to finish the formation lap. I'm towards the back of the grid, so there's not a whole lot of waiting that has to be done. Getting a little bit confused with the spot here, but it works out. And it's a race start for race number 1 of 2. Flag is waved. The guy on the left gets an amazing exit. I'm going to try and send up the inside, but he's going to push me into the barrier. That's going to cost me so much time as 3 karts, 4 karts, make it 5 all go by. What an awful, awful start. Relegated down to the back of the field, but we got to make a recovery drive from here. I've got pace on all 5 karts ahead. I qualified better than them. Down into turn 4, into 5. I'm going to be right on the back of them onto the straightaway. Let's see if I can make a move as he goes to the inside and swerves back out to the left. A huge bump from behind just unsettles the kart. That's not going to help us in the slightest. A lap 1 incident is not what I wanted here. I just got forced into the barrier and there was nothing I could do about it. But there's no point staying stuck on that because I'm going to stick a move into turn 2. He gets a better run, though, into turns 3. I'm going to have to be a little bit cautious of the kart behind. I don't want to lose any more positions than this. Through turns 4 and down into, or now it would be 6. They're all getting held up by the kart ahead. It's a huge battle as I get another bump from the car behind. Onto the pit straight. It's going to be a big slipstream, but the guy behind is already here. That bump unsettled the kart a little bit, made me slow, and ahead in the wall there does not help at all. And another kart sends it. I have to release the steering just to avoid getting hit. Not happy with that in the kart at all, but I'm going to have to just keep on going. If they get a penalty, they get a penalty, and I gain a place. If they don't, they don't. He goes very late defensive move. I was already there, but I had to back out onto the straightaway. I'm going to get a much better run of it, keeping my lines much wider, much faster. And I'm going to be beside him. I'm going to pass him before we even get to the corner. He's going to try and send it up the inside again, but I had a mega run, and there's no way he can. He's on the outside for turn 3, which is going to be the outside for turn 4. And there's no way to make a move there. I'm back past. That battling did open a big gap to the cars ahead. You still see I have to look behind me. I have to be cautious. Now onto the pit straight. Once more. That gap in front is massive. It's going to take a huge push and some fighting up ahead for me to catch up. But I'm up to that. Down into turn 2, I am seeing that gap close. They are battling hard. They're losing lots of time. And I am one of the faster drivers here today. So let's see what I can do. Through corners 4, now 5, and down into 6. That gap has shrunk significantly. They are losing tons of time, and that's going to help me greatly here. But as soon as I catch up, that's going to put me under threat from the car behind because I'm going to be down to their pace. Into 1. Nice and smooth. He doesn't keep it smooth. I'm going to think about a lunge up the inside. Later on the brakes, deeper into the corner, and I make the move stick. A clean move down into turn 2 that I hold through 3. The karts ahead are still fighting. That's going to give me a big opportunity to catch back up. Turn 5 and turn 6. Diving in on the brakes. The gap closing just a little bit. I'm doing well here. Onto the pit straight. They get a much better run out of the corner than me. But onto the second straight. Closing that gap a tiny bit. I may catch them this lap. I might catch them the next, but I know I'm going to catch them soon. I just got to keep my head down. And as they make a huge mistake down into 4, that's going to let me close right in on their bumper. Possibly even send a move down into turn 5, but a little bit of a skid doesn't allow that. Through the hairpin, lots of battling up ahead. It's going to slow them down, but it's going to slow me down too. I'm going to give them a friendly push just so we can get going again. He thinks about a move down into turn 1. I'm right there on his bumper, stuck in the train. This is not where I want to be because there's a kart ahead of him. If I try and send a move, I'm going to hit them. Through 3 and down into 4. Just stuck right with this group. It's a big battle, but there's a lot of positions up to grab for here. If I can do it. Diving into the hairpin. Much better on the brake. You can see the kart ahead bouncing. He's just going a little bit over the limit here. Onto the straightaway. He's going to go all the way to the inside. Battling with that one guy. I can't make a move here though. And side by side up ahead is not going to help my speed. So I'm going to send a move. And see if I can make it stick. Around the outside. Just getting forced a little bit towards the barrier. around the outside again. And I'm going to make the move around the outside through a double left-hander. But he's going to go up the inside here. Switchback. And another switchback is going to give me back my position. Side by side onto the straightaway. The cart ahead doing me a whole bunch of favors. He's got to go defensive. That's going to slow down the cart on the inside. And I slot in behind him. I think about a move down into turn 2. But I have to think better of it as he closes the door. The cart behind giving me a little bump. They want to push forward, make up some positions in time here too. Down through 4. I'm just a lot better on the brakes than the carts ahead. It's helping me greatly. Into turns 5. Not close enough to make a move here, but he drifts a little bit wide. That's going to give me a better run onto the straightaway. Closing right in on his bumper. Am I going to be able to make the move down into turn 1? I have a good run of it. I think about the inside, but I can't go for it here. I back out with a little bit of early braking. That's going to put me under threat from behind, but he doesn't want to make the overtake just yet. Better run through turn 2. Closes right back in on the cart ahead. All that time lost from my mistake, just drifting away. Down through turn 4 into... well, what was 5, now into 6. Just another mistake on the brakes for the car ahead. Am I going to be able to make the move stick on the straightaway here this time? Much closer than the last lap. I'm up the inside here, but he's going to be defensive. Just a little bit of movement from the car ahead discourages me from the move. Into turn 2, a big mistake from him. I'm going to go side by side. He's just going to push me out wide though. Right on his bumper, I'm going to give him a bump so he can speed back up. We don't want to lose time to the carts ahead, but we want to get past this guy as quick as possible. Thinking about another move up the inside, he's just going to close the door very late. Swipes across my bumper and slows me down. It's a weird move, but it works for him. Onto the straightaway, we lost tons of time to the carts ahead. The cart behind is going to start getting antsy now too. Another mistake through turn 1 gives me a better run into turn 2, but I'm not able to capitalize. Another mistake through turn 2, but again, just not able to capitalize on those mistakes here. I'm not aggressive enough. The penalty system here at VSK is a little bit flawed. Bumping and grinding is allowed. They don't penalize you quite as much for it. You can see the cart ahead using that fact to his advantage. Down through the pit straight once more. He's going very defensive, but he swerves back to the left before the corner. I get a better run of it. Try to send the move down into turn 2. He tries to cut me off. I'm going to make it around the outside into 3. Just going to get forced out wide, and that's going to give the inside line to the cart behind. I try to stay around the outside. It's not going to work for me. Down into the hairpin. Just losing a whole bunch of time. I'm going to defend from the carts behind. Using the bumper of the cart ahead as a marker for the speed I need to carry. Onto the pit straight. I shouldn't be under threat from the cart behind anymore. But you can see how much faster he pulls out of that. White flag, so it's final lap. I'm closing right in on their bumper. Side by side into turn 2. I got a cart ahead of me though, so I can't be very deep on the brakes, and I got a cart beside me now for 3. I have the inside line though, so I'm going to hold it. He gives me a bump from behind. That's just going to unsettle it a little bit, but I'm going to keep it steady. Defensive through this corner. I don't want him to send a move into the hairpin. He's just going to squeeze it up the inside. Pushes me out wide. There's no space there, and a little bump from his bumper. Another cart goes through. I'm going to squeeze this cart on exit. I don't want to lose another position here. I get a better run through the corner and across the line. I hold the position. That was not the run I needed. P13 in the first race. It's still good points, but it's not where I wanted to be. Just a little bit of bumping from a whole bunch of carts. I'm not aggressive enough. starting the karts for the final formation lap that I will do today. It's my final race of the day. Let's see if we can score some extra points here. I'm starting right back in P13 where I finished last race. It's not a great starting position, but I can make up a lot of positions if I'm smart about it. Just getting the kart nice and warm with some heavy weaving. I want the warmth all the way at the back too. Not just working the front tires, but working the rears. I'm gonna have a lot of karts in front of me. It's gonna be a tricky race. And I can already feel it. This kart isn't quite right. Something's not settling. And we await the flag to be waved, and there it is. Green, green, green. I get a better launch than the karts ahead. I'm gonna try and go up the inside. No kart on my inside that I have to worry about. Now I'm on the better line into 2, and I'm just gonna get swiped from the kart ahead right across my bumper. That sends me spinning. That is terrible. That's dead last already, and the karts ahead are monumentally far. I'm gonna have to push so hard to catch back up after that. Just into 2. The guy I came across hit my bumper. I was on for a good move there too. He was on the far outside. He was deep into the corner. I thought he was gonna hold his line. Now it's gonna take a lot to catch back up. It's gonna take even more to get past all the karts. Coming across the start-finish straight for the second time. What a poor run of it. You can see how far ahead the karts are. The whole field, several corners ahead even. It's not a good race for me so far, but I can still make the most of it. This is good practice for my race pace, good practice for next month, but I'm thinking about this race and what I can do right now. Just a little bit of bouncing. I'm gonna have to push very, very hard. It's gonna be faster than my qualifying. It's gonna be faster than the last race. It's gonna be everything I can do. You can see I have closed that gap just a little bit. They're fighting up in front, and I'm not that slow right now. We're seeing more and more of the karts ahead. It's tantalizing. Through into 5 and down into the hairpin of 6. You can see how much they get slowed down here. I have no one in front. I'm not getting slowed down in the slightest. Across the start-finish straight, the gap has definitely shrunk a little bit. I'm starting to feel better about my chances here. It's 10-minute races here because of Group A. I've got a good shot. Down into 3. I'm almost halfway closer than I was before. A few more laps and I'll be right on them. I made buddies with the guy ahead. We talked in the middle of the races, talked a little bit after. The hope is we might be able to get let through here. Around the first corner, definitely closing in on the karts ahead. I was running a monumental pace here. Looking at my best laps after the race, I was on pace with some of the leaders, just a little bit lower than their laps, but it's good. 39.5s consistently, more than half a second better than my qualifying. Closing in, you can see that kart ahead. He's fallen back from the pack. He wants to push and catch up. I want to push and catch up. That's an easy place if I can get it. Down into turn 2. closing that gap a lot. And down into turns 4, I'm gonna go up the inside, and he's gonna leave me the space. He's gonna leave the gap, and he's gonna let me through. Down into 5. It's an ideal position now. Plenty of positions up for grab. Plenty of pace. Let's see what we can do. Across the start-finish straight. Making a good run of the corner. You can see how much closer I am to the karts in front. Time in the race is dwindling though. I've only got so long before I gotta bring the kart in. So long before the race ends. Closing the gap, you can see the kart in front now. It's only a matter of 1 or 2 laps before I'm right on their bumper. But they're pulling away significantly on the straightaway. It's such an odd thing to see. Little bit of a bounce through turns 1. Down into 2, it's a good line though. I'm pushing hard. I'm pushing fast. And I'm catching up. Down into the hairpin. Once more. You can see how much closer I am, especially as they start battling up in front. But you can see them pull away a lot onto the straightaway. It's going to become way more apparent as we enter the final stages of these laps. Braking nice and late for turn 2. Nice and late for turn 3 with my turn-in. Carrying as much speed as I can. I'm slowly developing better and better braking markers here for good consistency. Through the hairpin, it's just about maximizing track width. Onto the straightaway, we're looking for that start-finish line. We're looking for the little kink in the barrier on the left and braking just after it. All the way to the outside, braking just at the second braking marker. Carry as much speed as possible. It's a little bit wider on exit than it looks. Through 3, it's just turning in and not skidding. Through 4, you brake nice and late. You're already turned in before you brake. Turn 5, there's no braking required. And turn 6, there's a little bit of a scuff on the barrier to the left. But there's no time for that anymore. I'm right on the bumper of the kart ahead. You can see him pulling away on the straightaway. The kart I'm in has no speed. But through turn 1, he makes a bad run of it. I'm going to go up the inside into 2. That's another position recovered from back of the field. It's a great recovery drive so far. I'm signaling that I want to push. I don't want to battle. I want to make up as many positions here as possible, and I don't want to have to defend. We'll see if he abides by it. Right on the bumper of the kart ahead, onto the straightaway. You can see how much he pulls, though. My goodness! Whatever was wrong with my kart was definitely affecting it on the straightaway. You can see how much the karts pull. That was an insane amount of distance to gain. Out of every corner, I'm faster, and then he just pulls away. I'm gonna have to make a move on the brakes if I want to catch up, but I'm not gonna be close enough to make a move on the brakes. I think about the inside line. I make him think about it. He leaves the space for me. Very respectful driving from him. Onto the straightaway. I get a better run out of the corner, and then as soon as we're in the high speeds, he just pulls away. Like nothing else. It's like racing a rocket. Through the first corner, I'm better through there, but I'm just not able to close the gap anymore. Through turns 4, I'm just gonna dive in on the brakes, making a little bit of contact that's gonna unsettle both of us and lose us both time. Into 6, the hairpin. Diving in on the brakes, I get a better run once again out of the corner. He has to go a little bit wide. You can see the gap closing in. But again, he just pulls away like a rocket ship. I'm amazed. I have to think about defending. If I'm that slow out of the corner, the kart behind surely isn't. Closing in once again. It's so frustrating. The kart's just not able to keep up. And considering the pace I was running, if the kart was working properly, I'd be right on the leader's pace. It's a great learning experience for the next race, but I want this position so bad. Onto the straightaway yet again, and he just pulls away. You can see me shake my head in amusement. There's nothing I can do. It's final lap here, white flag. Can I make up this final position? I think about a move up the inside, but there's no space for me. He's gonna go defensive, down into turn 4. I'm not able to make a run of it. Through turn 5, you can see how much he's just about to pull. Down into the braking zone. Very late on the brakes, very defensive on the brakes, but it's the straightaway. I'm not going to be able to make a run. You can see he just pulls away. There's nothing I can do. Across for the checkered flag, and it's down in P14. What an awful race for me. From a spin at the start, a great recovery drive, but the kart just had nothing on the straightaway. There's no way you can make a move with that. Gonna give him a fist bump though. He kept it very clean. He kept it very tidy. Fist bump to the kart behind too. Very respectful driving from these two. The kart just wasn't up to the task. But there's a lot to learn from this month of racing. And there's a lot to gain in the next month of racing. My race pace was significantly faster than my qualifying. It would have put me towards the front of the grid. If I can keep that up, I can do pretty well. The goal ultimately is a podium finish in the Group A. But we're going to take what we learned from this race and bring it into the next. With that, thank you for watching.